Hello, this is Max of the Technomancer, here doing the Crossroads playtesting on the newest world with the heat update. Like I promised, I did quite a bit off camera that was only vanilla related. The only Crossroads related thing that I did off camera was I crafted these two slotted chests, but I didn't use them because I sort of crafted them out of habit because I was thinking, oh, I have an idea, I'm gonna need some of these, and then I crafted them, and then I remembered, oh wait, I'm supposed to save this for when I'm on camera, so these aren't actually being used yet, they're just crafted. So I've done a lot of vanilla progress, which I didn't bother to record. I'll just give you the overview, I guess. Well, the main overview is, let's see, I found a spider dungeon, found a village. The village is quite a ways away. I raided the village and got some beetroot, carrots, and potatoes. Actually, did I get any carrots? I don't actually remember now if I got any carrots. Yeah, there were no carrots. The village had no carrots, but it had potatoes. So that's nice, I guess. Would have preferred carrots over beetroots, but yeah. Got some cows. They aren't really being used for much. The main thing I've done is I've made the base a little more organized, and I put some farming rooms in it. So this is a manual. These are manual tree farms. When the tree grows, I go over here, chop it down, retract these back off, plant a new sapling, and the leaves decay and all the drops go in the water. And all the water streams go down here, and I'll explain the chickens in a moment, and go into this chest with a hopper. And also I've got some chickens penned up back there because I thought while I've got this item collection system, may as well throw some chickens in there for some eggs, which I've done. So yeah. And I've also got this mostly manual crop farm, which I was originally using for wheat, but once I got the potatoes, I just switched over to it. Haven't done any harvest with potatoes yet, but because I only just switched over. But the idea here is that once these are grown, I'll place the water here, and it'll go down those two lines and wash and harvest the crops and put them into the water stream for collection. And then I pick up the bucket again. The water with the bucket again. It's only barely automated. I still have to manually replant everything, but it's a slight improvement over doing everything manually. And I intend to use Crossroads to fully automate crops, fully automate trees, fully automate everything. I went mining. Is there anything else I really need to cover? Oh, I looted a desert temple as well. So I got some TNT, some enchanted books and such. I haven't found any diamonds yet. Somehow, but, well, that's okay. We're going to progress today without using diamonds, probably. So, well, without further ado, let's get to work. The first things I really wanted to do was I wanted to automate the replanting of these saplings. And I will eventually automate the replanting of these crops as well, but I can't quite afford to do that yet. And the way I'm going to automate the replanting is very, very simple: fertile soil, which is made using fermented spider eyes, so it's quite expensive, but it's also quite useful. So, lots of variants. And I've got some, I should have some mushrooms around here somewhere. I specifically collected brown, oh, they're right in my inventory. Okay. And I need to get some sugarcane. I'm not forgetting some crucial ingredient. No, I've got everything. So we're going to replace the saplings with birch sapling fertile soils, and replace a few, as many as I can afford, of the potato crops with potato fertile soils. And I'm thinking that at some point, instead of doing the whole farm potato, I might at some point make some of the strips of the potato farm be wheat, and maybe some be carrot, because it's gonna replant for me anyways. May as well have some variety in there. Mainly potato though, almost entirely potato, just not fully potato. So I'm gonna need some bones. I have enough bones, and I'm not gonna bother grinding them up in a grindstone right now because I haven't made one yet. So I've got 7 spider eyes, which I found is usually the bottleneck, as is intended. So I'll get some of these. I've got 14 bone meal. If I got the... yes. So now I need some... where are my... birch saplings are probably in this chest. They're right in front of me. Alright. So if I just make... the recipe makes 3 as well, because they're quite expensive. That annoying pop-up comes up. Let's just disable those, and let's just get 3 batches. Potatoes. What's my bottle? Oh, potatoes actually by bottleneck, believe it or not. Okay, I'm gonna make 1 batch of wheat. Should I do a... nah, one... I'll do a second wheat. Okay. So the trick with fertile soil is it basically replants itself, just not instantly. So, yeah, it's not on a timer either. It's the same thing that's used for crop growth by vanilla. So if you think about how long it would take for a crop to normally grow one stage, that's usually how long it's going to take for these things to grow. Except, oh, is that still in? I thought I removed, oh, really? I thought I, oh yeah, the sapling variants are special in that every time they get a block update, they immediately replant. Only the saplings do this, and there is a reason for this that I don't want to go into. It's not a code reason, it's a gameplay reason. I found it was better. And technically you could have used this for using it as fuel, using saplings as fuel, but, well, they're not that valuable as fuel, and I just have to hope people won't abuse things. I mean... maybe I should provide a config option so to disable the feature of instant replant with saplings with block updates. Maybe I should add a config for that just in case people start abusing it. I really don't think people will. Saplings aren't that valuable, but honestly, I don't know. So maybe I'll add a config for that at some point. So the normal crop ones do not instantly replant. They sort of, they'll take some time. The reason for this line of tilled soil is so that the items could move along in the water stream, because tilled soil is shorter than normal blocks. So if I used full blocks there, they would get stuck. So this is even less replanting now that I have to do. Okay, you know what, I've actually just had a thought, and I should have done this from the get-go. And you can see they're starting to replant themselves. What I should do is... hold on. I'm going to put them so that I start with the back. The reason being that then I can get rid of these side things for replanting. So those just annoy me. Just their existence. Just their general existence is infuriating to me. You know, let me just finish laying this off camera and then come back. There we go. Much nicer. Very good. Okay, I've done all the crafting for what we're going to need just to get started off, and I am glad I added so many nugget recipes, like making individual bronze ingots with nuggets, making individual gears with nuggets, and so on, because early game, when you don't have a lot of resources, those are really quite helpful. So just to start off with, it's still going to be the same, even with the changes to heat, pretty much just to start off with. The heat changes really become more important when you start involving the heat cables, which we're not using right initially, and when you start making actual systems that aren't just one heat generator and one heat consumer. So I went on this epic quest to find sheep, and by epic I mean incredibly long and boring and fruitless. Couldn't find any sheep. Can't be bothered to kill enough spiders to get enough string for wool. So we're going to have to do this the tedious way to try and skip the wool tier to go straight to obsidian. Which is very much possible, because if I look at the types of cables, there's wool, slime, Bobo type. This isn't one you're supposed to normally use. This is a Bobo type of cable that does special things. Ice and obsidian, and yeah, I don't have enough wool, so we're going to have to do things in an incredibly tedious way to get enough obsidian to go straight to obsidian heat cables. Now, normally I would just mine some obsidian, but I haven't found enough diamonds for a pickaxe. In fact, I haven't found any diamonds. So, yeah, this tediousness until we can get enough obsidian. So, first off, I'm going to use a fuel heater. It used to be a coal heater. It's been renamed because now it can burn anything. To heat up a heating crucible. Now, ideally, a heating crucible can, at maximum speed, and by which I mean, okay, to run, a heating crucible will consume 10 degrees C per tick wall above 1,000 degrees C, and can only process wall above 1,000 degrees C. This fuel heater produces 1 degree C per tick, so while we can run this thing, it'll be at approximately about 1/10 the normal speed, which is okay for just to start out with. I'm just using this very temporary setup so I can get enough obsidian to make some obsidian heat cables, and then use those to speed up the processing of some copper ore, so that I can afford to get steam running and such. And while that's heating up behind me, I'm just operating this quite manually, just until I get steam, so that I can start processing my copper ore. Early game is very tedious, and it's designed, well, it's not early game. I've designed early game in Crossroads to be very tedious, but very short if you do it right. The reason it's so tedious is that I can get away with it because the idea is that it's if you know what you're doing and you're not just doing things randomly, it's pretty easy once you get started in Crossroads to very quickly get to some automation and get away from that very early game Crossroads stuff, which is what I'm doing now. And the reason I've made it kind of tedious in the very early game is to give people that push to immediately go straight to that automation as fast as possible, and increased efficiency and such. So it is a little bit of tedium at the start, but it's very short. And yeah. So how is this doing on heat? Oh, we're bouncing around 1,000 degrees C, which means this is running very slowly. We're running low on coals. Well, this can now burn any fuel, like I said. We should be producing some lava. It's at this temperature, it's going to be very slow, because, you know, at speed. Let me make a few other measurement devices so I can keep a better eye on what's going on here. Just kidding. Some glass, and what's the other thing? This thing. Yes, compass and a piece of string. Oops. If I had even a little bit more copper, I'd combine all three of those devices into one and make an omnimeter, but I honestly don't have the one. I need one. I just need 2 more copper nuggets, and I would be able to make an omnimeter, but I can't afford it, so. Yeah. So, fluid gauge. We've got no lava so far. It should be running. I guess it's just being very slow at these temperatures. Now I can monitor this. Yeah. I just do that. Yep. Just keep cranking this. Wait for that thing to melt over there. really no lava yet at all? 0% full. I'm thinking I may need to increase the speed of the heating crucible. Unless it's broken. It shouldn't. It might be broken. It does have this recipe. It might be that this thing is broken and not processing. Yet still... Hold on, I'll be right back, and I will, while this is hopefully running, I will check the code to see if it's actually working. So it's sort of bugged. While I was making all the changes to heat-related stuff, it looks like I accidentally inserted a bug into the heat crucible. It technically works, but it's going about an order of magnitude slower than it should be. So I need to just quickly... I've fixed it now, and I'll just install the fixed version where it doesn't go at an incredibly slow rate. I'll just do that. Alright, it seems to be working now. We've produced a piece of obsidian. It's 5 cobblestone to 1 obsidian, so how much obsidian do I want to make first? So the amount, let's see here. Temperature of this thing rose when it made the obsidian. That's an important thing to note. And if it gets too hot, it refuses to craft. So normally I'd hook a heat cable up here connected to a heat exchanger just to vent the heat. I mean, you could do something clever, make a system that reuses the heat somewhere else to be more efficient. This is early game. I'm not doing anything right like that, really early game. So I would just do that. I don't even have the wool for a heat cable, so I'm skipping straight to obsidian. It's really quite ridiculous. So, because I can't afford a cable right now for the cooling, I have to manually break and replace this every time it does a craft to reset the internal temperature. Yeah. So, I'm gonna need a total of 6 obsidian to get that cable. Right? And then I'm gonna want, let's see here, 8 more for another purpose. Let's just start with 5 more obsidian. Let's just start with that. So it's going to be 25 more cobblestone. I'm going to need to melt down. I just put some coal blocks in here. So that should run now. Other thing I wanted to do was, I'm out of copper. Just remembered this fact. This is a very important fact. I was about to craft another heat exchanger, which would require some copper. Right. Never mind. We'll continue using the fuel heater until I've managed to process some copper through. Yeah, after I've done the 5 obsidian, I'm gonna run the... Okay, I can do 1 more craft, and then it will... And then I'll need to break and replace it. Hopefully I didn't waste any lava there. 3 obsidian so far. Just remembered, I don't even have the copper for the heat cable. So I'm gonna have to do the copper the first few bits of copper manually as well. This is fine. See, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the early game you have to think, try to be very efficient with your copper ingots, because you have to use native copper ore to get copper early game. Which is one of my crueler design choices, come to think of it. Come on, just a little bit more. Break and replace. How many? We're up to 5 obsidian. 1 more, and then I'll start the copper. I'll just put the copper now. So I'm gonna need 3 copper ingots for the cable, and then after that cable, I'm going to want 4 more for the exchanger. And then once I've got the cable in the exchanger, we can make this a lot easier and quicker. And then once we've done that, that'll allow us to get quite a bit of copper, and then we can move towards a much more automated system based on probably steam. Which is what I usually do. Come on. Oh, nuts. I think I did accidentally vent a piece of obsidian or a piece of lava earlier, so let me break and replace that, because apparently I still need a little bit more cobblestone in there. Now it needs to reheat because I broke and replaced it. Just give me the obsidian. Okay, give me the piece of obsidian. Come on. Just needs to reach 1,000 degrees, see? So the way this thing works now is it'll consume 10 degrees C per tick every tick, whether it's running or not, as long as it's above 1,000 degrees. And then it'll run 5 times as fast if it's above 1,500 degrees. And the reason I've done that is you can very easily, using the new heat system, create a system to regulate that'll make it be regulated to 1,000 degrees. But since its heat use doesn't... Oh, this has copper in it. Oh darn, I've mixed my liquids. But since there's but since its heat use doesn't increase once it hits... Really? Ice, but what does that have to do with lava? With obsidian, rather. I'm not sure what obsidian has to do with that ice bucket challenge. Now I'm curious. Hold on. I don't see obsidian. Ah. Right. But what does obsidian have to do with the ice bucket challenge? I'm not sure. Honestly. Okay. Let me get my thoughts in order. The reason I did the 1,500 degrees extra bonus is because you can create a system quite easily to regulate it at 1,000 degrees C, because your heat use from this machine only occurs once you hit 1,000 degrees C. So you can sort of make a passive regulator at 1,000 degrees. At 1,500 degrees, there is no machine that automatically increases its heat use at 1,500 degrees, or actually anywhere above that. So if you want to get this thing to work, a passive regulator will work fine. That is something that doesn't use redstone integration or something to open and close a connection to a heat exchanger or something. But if you want to get that 5 times speed boost, which only occurs at 1,500 degrees and above, you need an active system, but it's purely optional. If you don't use the active system, you can still get that normal slow speed, but if you want to go 5 times as fast, you need an active system. So it's just a little incentive to improve your systems. Why did I place that? Sort of rambling a bit. So we've got 5 copper ingots so far. Why did I miss? Oh, crap! I forgot to break and replace this, and now it's overheating. No real matter, because I can do this. I've now got enough copper for the obsidian. Oh, I thought that was an advancement for a moment. Okay, so if I connect this now, there we go. That's venting heat into the heat exchanger, which just dissipates 10 degrees C per tick. Very good. So there's the ingots, and while I'm at it, I may as well get, and now that I've made this quite a bit easier to do, let me just get one more ingot, just so that I can actually make an omnimeter. Because I would really like to have an omnimeter. Oh, yeah, we get an omnimeter. It used to take an emerald, and then I realized that was stupid and made it not take an emerald and take some bronze ingot instead. Don't know why I ever made it take an emerald. honest. Never quite I don't know why I ever did that. Maybe just sort out my chest better. I need it needs a clock. I think my favorite 1.12 change is the fact that if you put something in the crafting grid and close it, it goes straight to your inventory instead of falling on the ground. That was a good change. I fully approve of that change. Okay, my thermometer is in my offhand. So, yeah. And now I just make a single more bronze ingot. And craft omnimeter. Very good. Which does all the other 3 functions and more. Now it's telling me things like biome temperature, the power in this gear, the mass of the gear, the moment of inertia of the gear. It tells me all sorts of things. The actual amount and capacity of fluids, the types of fluids, and quite a few things that are completely unrelated. They can measure magic now. It can measure tons of things now that the individual 3 devices can't even all 3 of them together. You know, I would continue on, but it looks like this episode is hit hit 20 minutes or so, so I'll end the episode here. And next episode we'll probably, hopefully by the end of next episode, we'll have gotten some steam power set up and have automated this, so I don't have to keep putting fuel into a fuel heater, and I don't have to keep manually cranking this and all that stuff. We'll have some proper steam power. Oh, let me so there. Bye.